Hey YouTube! Hey, this week, because the way the last week video edited, we'll be doing some tabbing, and I plan to put the next stringer in. Stick with me. Welcome to my life. Hey YouTube, so I already have footage of me tabbing that far wall, putting the final touches on that, so I'll show that, and then we'll kick into installing the next stringer. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. I'm just kind of been thinking about it this morning. Probably just try to shoot 2 screws through the top or something to hold it, and then thicken resin all the way around it, making a radius, and then we'll let that dry, and then I'll come back and tab that later. So that's kind of the plan. I don't know. As you know, we'll end up where we end up. All right, let's get started. All right, so if you'll remember, I already have the fiberglass cut for this. So I just need to get it in there and then mix up the final resin and get that going. Yeah, so I guess I'll suit up and get going. no, 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 no. Shoot. Oh my gosh, that was the absolute worst. Whew. I was going to put the piece of wood in, and the front corner caught the fiberglass I just did, and I just pulled it all off. And I worked so hard to get the air out of it. I couldn't get the air out of that piece. And so I had to do it again, but man, it's to the point now where it's got to be good enough, because what you do is every time I touch it, it pulls more. So I worked the air the best I could out of it. I think there's a couple little spots I'll just have to cut open and figure out, I don't know, but man, I finally had it, and then I ripped it off. Man, you don't get more real than this. Woo! Alright, so I got the final on there. I'm not thrilled with it, I ain't gonna lie. You know, I just can't get it down. But it is what it is. I might go in there and work on it a little bit with the tool. Alright, so I just went back in there, I used the tool, and worked as much air out as I could. It's a whole lot better than... I'm glad I went back in there. I almost left it alone and said good enough. I was kind of frustrated there that I just did that right. So I had a really tough time with it the first time, getting the air out. And I just got it where I thought it was okay. And then I was like, well, let me just put this piece of wood in there and we'll kind of fit it up. And man, if I didn't catch the front of it, of course you guys are going to see it, but on that, woo. Oh, I had to get out of there. So glad that I went back in there with the tool, which you saw in the video. You know, wow. So I put that board in there thinking, well, I'll just see if I can test fit this. And then sure enough, as you see in the video, I ripped the whole cloth up that I just put down. Oh, so frustrating. And I had to work the crap out of that cloth the first time trying to get the air out of it. I just couldn't get the air out of it. I don't know what's going on with that deal, but I'm glad that I took a step back and said, okay, went out of there, got the tool, went back in, because I made pretty good headway with that tool going back in there. Yeah, so glad I went back in there. It's not perfect, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, you guys can see it, I don't need to tell you anything, but it made a huge difference going back in there with the tool and just working it a little bit. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it now. It's fine. But I'm not going to mess with that board right now. I'm going to let that dry and then I'll put the board in. Yeah, so just let it air out. I got to go in there, back in there, and clean up all my tools. But then I think I'm going to call it a day. So yeah, so there you go. You're getting it all. And yeah. Awesome. Tarp flipped over in the wind. Wonder how much you got. Now a lot of people want me to sand down the tops so I can fold the fiberglass over. Wasn't planning on doing that, and I'm definitely not going to do it on the outsides where I'm gluing it to the walls on the outsides. But in the spirit of learning things and playing around, I'm going to go ahead and get the flaps in, and we'll curve a little radius on the top of the inside of this, just so we can put the fiberglass across the top. Again, it wasn't my plan, but you guys seem to want to see it, and whatever. In the spirit of learning something new, let's do that. All right, we got her cleaned. They got her. All right, we got her sanded down. We got her cleaned up. We got the. All right, we got the corners radiused off. We got her sanded down, and we got her cleaned up. Let's get her in. All right, she looks like she's really going to stay pretty good, actually, where she's sitting. I'm going to, actually, she looks really good. I might put a screw in just to hold it tighter on the bottom that way, because it wants to slide down the hill just a bit. don't really want to put a screw in the wood, but you know, just like before, we'll just cover it up and resin that screw in, or take it out, resin the hole. Yeah, I think I'll silicone this side and let it dry, so that I'm not hanging over it and pushing it on the other side, because I'll probably put some force on that, right? So I don't want to put any force on it until I have it set and where it's going to go. And I don't want to screw it and leave it permanent, so I think push it up, put a long screw in just to hold her tight, and then silicone this side, and then let it dry, and then we'll come back some other time and silicone the back side, and then once that's all dry, we'll come in and do our tabbing. So that's kind of my plan right this second. So yeah, so again, the same thing with the other side, that one gap, but that might be a good place for a drain to go underneath where water can get through. It never had that before, but it's not a bad comment, not a bad idea, so we'll probably do that too. Okay, well, let me get a screw, we'll get this pushed out, we'll get it held, and then we'll just do some thickened resin and get that on there, and I think that'll be it for today because it's going to have to dry. So, all right, let me get that going. Alright, that'll be good. I'll put a couple just temporary screws on there just to hold it from sliding back down, especially right here. Keep it nice and tight with the top and lined up very well. So that'll be good. I was thickened resin all around it. We'll go from there. Yeah, we'll leave a drain tube right there, I guess. I just didn't remember what I do the other side when I can't see. Make sure that I'm doing that, but I can get my head over this, so that's pretty good, you know, distance for me. And I think I can reach the wall and stuff. It's gonna be awkward and difficult, whatever, but I'll be able to roll it and get it on there, and I can do the cuts of corners and all that stuff. So I think it's gonna work out fine. It's not gonna be easy, but I think it's gonna work out fine, right? But we'll see when I get there, of course. Yeah. Because everything's been way more difficult than what I thought it would be. So, but it's not a big deal. I'm still enjoying it, having fun. So, all right. So let's make up some thickened resin, and we'll do this side. We'll make our radius the best. We'll see about that. I'm going to use a stir stick. It has a corner around it, so I'm going to try that. You know, people suggested spoons. I think that's a great idea. But I'm just going to try that stir stick, see if I can get away with that, and if that works, cool. I'll use this putty knife to shove the resin in there. I'm definitely going to put a drain here at the low point. That was a good suggestion. Didn't have one before, but it won't hurt, right? The only thing I worry about is when I do the flotation foam, is that going to come? It's really going to come through there, isn't it? So I don't know that that really does any good with me putting a whole drain hole there. That's something to think about. I may not do that actually, because the flotation foam will be there, and the water should come across the top of that, not underneath it. All right, so maybe I won't do that. I don't know. I'll be thinking about that as I go. I think it's a good suggestion, but in this application, I'm not sure if the flotation foam's in here. That's not gonna really do any good down there. All right, well, we'll think about that on the way through. But yeah, right now I'm just thickened resin. I'll probably just thickened resin all the way around. If I decide to go with the drain hole, I'll drill it back through afterwards. I don't know. The more I think about the flotation foam, the more I don't know about the drain holes. I definitely am going to put them on the rails for the fuel tank, so that if water gets in there, which it probably will over time, it can drain down into the bottom of the boat. But on this flotation foam to the top, I'll just have to think about it. All right, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and get our silica or thickened resin in. We'll get some chop fiberglass and silica and mix up a batch of stuff, and I really don't know how much of each to put in there. I'll just kind of play with it until, like you guys say on the internet, peanut butter consistency, and then we'll go from there. All right, let's get to work. And I forgot to tell you, I switched gloves to these black ones. They're thicker, and double gloving actually works now. So when you talk about double gloving, if it doesn't work for you, try a different kind of glove, because when I swapped these gloves out and tried these other ones, they double stack just fine. So, all right, I got to suit up because you don't want to read that silica and chop fiberglass, or well, any of it really. So I'll talk to you guys later. All right, so I think it went pretty well. I'm actually pretty happy with it. That thickened resin is just way better than the bedding to me. For me personally, I'm not telling you what to do, but it feels like it's part of the boat as opposed to another chemical in between the board and the fiberglass. It feels like it's part of the fiberglass, you know, which it is. But I just like that better. It took me quite a bit of milled fiberglass to thicken it up, and I noticed that extra little bit of silica would give it like a gray tint, but that would make it like just a little more firm, whereas it seemed like no matter how much milled fiberglass I was putting in, I was making more, but it didn't seem like it was just getting that I don't know. But the silica then made it so it wasn't drooped, that little bit of silica. I don't know, maybe that's in my head, I'm not sure. But I just rounded it off with the putty knife, little stick, the stir stick that I had. Seemed to work out just fine. I may come back when I do the other side, I may come back and just, you know, smooth a little more over it. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's going to be fine for what I'm doing. It brings it into the edge very nice, and then smooths it right over top of that, and then that'll allow me to put that fiberglass sheet right on top of it. I'm tempted to do the other side, but I learned pretty good from that other episode where I screwed the fiberglass up and had to lay it back down. And to me, it never really went back down as good as I wanted it to be. But whatever, it is what it is. So I'll just let this dry completely before I screw around with the other side, and I don't want to knock the board or knock something out of it or whatever. So yeah, pretty happy with the results. And yeah, so now I'm going to clean up, and I'm really not that messy, which is amazing. But I think I'm just going to clean up, call that good, let it dry solid, and then I'll come back and play with it again whenever I get a chance. Remove those 2 screws, fill those holes, maybe do a little smoothing on the top of the silicone, and then I'll definitely do the other side, and then we can start tabbing it all in and getting that going. That'll be nice. So yeah, I think that's the key to this, is to not think you're going to do too much and not get in a hurry. You do a little step and then you wait, you do a little step and you wait. And I think once you have an understanding of that, it's not like a transom where you're trying to get it all, you know, there's a ton and you got to get it together all at once. This, you definitely don't have to do that. You can do layer by layer. and that thing gets the right way. Now there is wet layers, and that's supposed to be stronger or whatever. I have been reading on the wet layer thing, and I think there's something to be said for that. But in the awkwardness that I'm in now, I think what I'm doing is the right way for me. It may be different when I'm out here and have lots of room, and I can get up above it and I can really move around faster and easier. But just climbing in that hole and out of that hole, it takes a lot out of me. So I think the way I'm doing it step by step is the way to do it up under here. And that way I don't get ahead of myself too and then skip something and I'll really be in trouble. But yeah, enjoyed it. Thought it worked out good. I like the thickened resin. That's definitely what I'm gonna be using from now on. Yeah, you know, and that's just it. This is a learning process, right? So, you know, we learn. You know, I don't like the bedding. Maybe right for some, not right for me. Thickened resin seems like the answer to me for what I'm doing for my application. So I did round the tops of this, and whatever, we'll see how that plays out. You know, I just have mixed feelings. I mean, I know people want to cap the top and they think that that's going to keep the water from going down there. I don't know. I mean, the boards are resin, whatever. I did it. We'll try capping it. We'll cap the two. We'll cap this one, and this one. We won't cap the outside ones because I'm slapping that up against another one where you really can't get good coverage over anyway. So we'll see. I don't know what you'll see next. I'm trying to make these episodes with an introduction and telling you what we're going to do, and it seems like it never turns out that way. They're either too long or too short or whatever. So we'll see. I'll either see you in 2 seconds or I won't. All right, well, that's it for this episode. We got some tabbing done. We got the stringer in. We got some thickened resin underneath one side. We'll still need to do the other side, but hey, thanks for joining me. See you next week. Hey YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe.